this over to Noah Gould.
Okay.
Noah, tell us about yourself just a little bit.
Hey, everybody, thank you so much. A pleasure to be here and see some old friends and meet some new friends. So I started teaching painting probably close to about 15 years ago. When I moved back from New York, I came back to California, where I was born and raised here in Central Coast, and just fell in love with the landscape. Really, I was just, after being in New York in the concrete jungle, I came back to California and said, "Oh my gosh, this is beautiful." I started getting into plein air painting, and was working at a gallery in Moss Landing, and that's where I met many of you here, with a friend of ours who passed recently, Marv Anderson. And just through that group, started doing a lot more teaching and taking people out doing plein air paintings, and just rekindled. I was always painting in New York. I was there for my graduate work at Parsons, but the painting style and everything at the time was, modern art and other things, and just coming back to some of the basics in California was just a lovely thing for me, and just rekindled my connection with figurative and landscape art. And in the last several years, I've been doing some online classes, which is hard. You're on Zoom and whatever. You can't get in there with your hands on, and but you can still impart the basics of what painting is about. And for me, it's about letting go of kind of some of the control of, the way we think about life is we're mostly out of control. Things are out of our hands many times. And with painting, you can take some of that chaos and focus it, but with still the idea of play and still the idea of having fun, and it can be a very cathartic, very therapeutic, and it's something that you can be proud of, and that you have some control over in your own life, and you can share it with others, and that's just something that has always been a focus of mine. In terms of the paintings I've been doing recently, I have been also working, as many of you have said, in more abstract and less specific styles. But I'm always doing portraiture. I'm always doing landscape. I'm working for a few companies that are doing. They're tech companies in the over the hill, and what they have been doing is offering to their clients gifts. And one of the gifts they offer is small portraits of them based off their LinkedIn photographs and stuff like that. So they'll send me, can you paint this guy? Sometimes it's like not the best photo or whatever, but and that's not my problem, that's their problem, But it's been fun to kind of keep my chops up in terms of doing portraiture. And this is the beginning base coat, and I just used some warm, yellows and stuff, so it really will allow once the paint goes on, you can actually, if you want to, you can leave some of that warmth in there, or let it be. And so basically, it's just the same that you would do with landscape or any other thing. Is you want to look for all the shadows. That's the main thing you're putting down, and then leave the light of the canvas like you would do with watercolor or anything else. And so then you have this kind of a map, so to speak, of what you're going to be focusing on in terms of highlight and shadow. This was a fun underpainting. I used my old palette here. This is just a standard palette paper. This is what I use for everything. It's the best. I used to use glass and scrape it off, but why not do it this way? Obviously, you guys are familiar with the basic mediums. Liquid I use and Brew. I set up the basic portraiture palette, which is some rose madder, Naples yellow, and then various umber, short umber, and sienna. And then I always included a little a couple of grays, torrent gray, which is the pre-mixed torrent gray that can be used for. It's a little bit of a cooler gray, and then a few blues, because I was telling Stephen that when portraiture people end up with these eraser people, they kind of look like pink erasers or something, and there's not a lot of color. But when you look at people's faces, they have the rainbow. The rainbow is in everyone's face. So I guess we can get started, and thank you so much for having me today. Let's start off. I think that we're going to kind of get back into some of these shadows first, and then you can define, kind of re-sketch the painting out. I preload the brush with a little liquid because you want the liquid to kind of absorb throughout all the bristles down to the base, so that it kind of preloads the paint as you go.
That's acrylic?
No, this is oil.
Oil.
Yeah, oil paint. You get some burnt umber, and this was the. I have this really great brown that I don't use.
But your map is acrylic, right?
Yeah, the map is acrylic. What I'm basically going to do a little bit of is kind of re-sketch some of the basic lines that I've already went over with this yellow, because I know that these are going to be the darkest parts. I've kind of. There's still some value changes you can see. These are the darkest points, and there's lighter areas. But I can get right into the darker points because I've laid out this road map for myself. Now the woman, so she's going to be a little bit more delicate, of course, than the guy. You can be kind of rough with the guys, but women have a little bit more delicacy. So I added a little bit more liquid on there because I not quite sure, how strong that's going to be when I first put it on. Just going to give her a little bit. Maybe I'm going to add, actually, with her, I'm going to start adding a little bit of warmth just into the base. Just to change the tonality a little bit with her. No Adam's apple for her. Although these days, who knows?
Yeah, that's true.
Be inclusive. But it's. And you notice I'm pretty much staying within the lines that I've already established. It's kind of a reestablishment of what I already have. But the more you lay down, the less you have to do later. Yes.
Now the orange underpainting, did you do that freehand?
Yeah, just out of my head. It's just sometimes it's fun to do that. Why always work from a source when you're, if you have the imagination to come in.
Did you paint smaller versions first?
What was it?
Did you paint smaller versions first, like sketches or something?
I did not for this one. For this one, I just let it be. This scale, I had it in my storage with all my other paintings and stuff, and I'm like, this is a cool size, and I'll use it. Oops. Where'd that go? I just want to get more liquid in the brush because, this is a softer look. The flat is really good because you can get that smaller. Even with a brush this big, you can still do a pretty thin line. It's a pretty great brush to use for this earlier stage. And you can use a rag or whatever to do some erasing. Just get into these crevices, into these little, the deeper parts of the eye. She looks like from that part of the world, right?
Yeah.
That look.
Whatever that part of the world is.
Canaan. Well, there's a lot of problems there now, isn't there? Oh boy, oh boy. Can't we just have peace?
Yeah, really. Can't we all get along?
No.
No? Impossible. You're right.
You're right.
I like some of this movement in the hair. Try to get that. Who designed these earrings? Oh, I want to get some for my girlfriend. Yeah. So, I'll even get some of this background stuff.
Is that like the town back there?
Yeah, a tower,
Okay.
something. These aqueducts. All right. Let's get into. So hold on here. So I'm going to load my brush back up with some liquid. And going to load with a little bit of white. I'll be able to use that white. It's hard, you don't want to big globs after the fact. Sometimes you can do that. But with the wet on wet, the white gets contaminated a lot quicker than anything else. So you might as well put some on there. You can't tell that I'm putting it on there, but it's going on. That's right over the white of the. You see how you can start to blend. That liquid allows you to blend right away into some of those early shadows that you put in.
That's a good way to start.
Then you can give yourself a transition period. There's in between the shadows and the light. There's always that kind of transitional area, which is a good way to do that. The question about painting over, because you're building up layers, and wet on wet allows you to build up layers kind of without a real thick I'm not doing impasto style. You know, it's kind of a thinner. First tip here.
Because oil paint is expensive.
Oil paint is expensive. That's one thing.
So it's liquid.
Yeah. And it's interesting to not have, to not be working with source material. It's different because you're just making it up. Right? But it can be fun too. That's a nice red tone. That arm.
Is that his arm here?
Yeah, I like that. I like that warmth. I just added a little bit of.
It's his arm?
That's her arm.
This is her arm here.
I know, but the
This-
that you're painting.
Yeah, this was looked. I think was his arm.
Shows it. It's his arm.
Yeah, squished over here.
It's her breast or something.
Do you see it? That's what happens when you make up things too. It's a little wonky. A little wonky. Yeah. But, and then this would be kind of under his arm here. Let's see about getting that back to the dark.
Where do you sell your stuff?
Well, I have my website, which people find me there, noahgould.com, and then mostly I have long-term, other collectors and stuff. To see if it would be with this highlight, maybe
There you go.
it will be. It's not getting the color I want because there's not paint here. Might be nice.
You just changed your hair color.
Change your hair color, why not? That's what you have to do sometimes. This is the original intention to have it be a darker color, but
She looks 10 years younger.
Looks really good. Looks really good.
something has that. Getting a lot of glare because that thick, the liquid is shiny. That's true.
Probably the fluorescent light doesn't help too much.
Right. That looks more like realistic for that
Yes, it
period
does.
or that place. I think. Might give him some darks, you know. Structure.
Top of the effort.
Yeah, something like that, right? Want to give it a little
Yeah, that's it.
wide. Paint it. There. That's nice. Some structure here. I did a mural for a friend of mine. It was not really a mural, but it was his patio. So he had me do these stones, a faux stone patio with deck paint, concrete deck paint. It was quite something to do. It was interesting.
How did it turn out?
It turned out good. Him and his wife both have wheelchairs, so they were getting all these track marks over there. And he wanted something that would mask all the track marks from the wheelchair.
That's cool.
Yeah, it turned out nice. Definitely not easy on the knees though, because
Exactly.
kneeling down on concrete.
Oh, that's looking beautiful.
Yeah. Interesting. This is obviously, I'm kind of doing it really quickly here, but gold for jewelry and things is really interesting because it's just this Naples yellow can really work well for it, but then you have to come back in with with like a brown and then a light white, but kind of just do. I like that a little bit.
Nice.
Well, I'm going to stand back. I think that's probably
Good job.
good.
Yeah, that's
See
good job.
what it's looking like that from you guys' perspective.
His cheek is, it's got the most highlights on it.
Oh, yeah.
Is that
it's
intentional?
a little bit bulbous, isn't it?
Well, I was wondering if you were intentionally trying to call attention to that area.
Well, initially, yes, but then, you kind of get lost with other things. I think what we'll do is we'll bring some of this bluish back in. Just kind of smooth it out a little bit. It was a little bit sunken. Give him some eye bag. maybe this sheet needs a little bit of highlight on it. Yeah. Even it out.
There you go.
Yeah. This is something you can work for a long time on, really. Might look a little bit better.
I think it's beautiful.
Yes.
And it has a nice composition too. It has
Yeah.
a unique composition.
Yeah, what I love is where you've got that and then her face,
Yeah.
you know, it complements the shape of her face.
Uh-huh. Oh, the arch?
Yes. I love
Yeah. It's repeating archway.
it. Yeah, that's really cool.
Uh-huh. Well, I enjoyed it. I'm not going to sign it because it's not done. But,
Okay.
you know, I really, that was fun to do.